I think it's recording.
It's not up with the second recording for you. Right.
All right, so let's do a little bit more in chapter 1. There's some problem solving stuff at the end that like everything you do in real life is going to be problem solving. It doesn't come to you with equations and shit like that. And so dismantling a problem is really an art. So let's take a look at solving some word problems. We'll work through some.
But this is math, not English.
I know, right? I'm like that. The trick. It's a drop. All right, so there's some steps you kind of want to follow through. Read it a couple times.
Maybe even like annotated, see both words.
Yeah, if you're one that annotates and highlights, I would do that. Read it a couple times to make sure you know what they're asking. And maybe as like an A point is kind of like goes with it. Maybe draw a picture if you can.
Is that cool word?
Of the problem, what the problem is talking about. If it's talking about ducks, go ahead and draw a duck. Now, sometimes problems aren't set up well to do pictures. But a lot of the trade skill ones and stuff like that, we can do a picture. From there, label what you know. Make sure to note the units. Those cause the glare. That's the glare.
That's. Told you that's.
Shut up. These Bob's already in the shut up column. That's pretty good. That's almost record time there, Bob. Label what you don't know. Maybe using a letter or a symbol. With a variable, they are called. Letter or symbol. Usually, if you pick a good letter, it will remind you of what the hell you're looking at. Like if you're trying to figure out time, you use T for time, not like A. There's no, like when A doesn't mean a damn thing for time. Okay, so we've got those, and now we've got some, there's almost always going to be some relationship. There's relationships or maybe formulas between all this stuff. Write them down.
What do you mean by relationships or formulas? Just certain things that are rules. Kind of thing?
Well, if you've got a picture and it's a rectangle, you know, you could get a formula for perimeter area if they're applicable to the problem.
Right. Okay.
You know. It's for you, Bob.
Interrogating.
Okay. Good idea. This is optional, but it's a good idea. Estimate what the outcome should be. Maybe doing that rounding shit we talked about on Monday. You know, you don't have to multiply everything out, but you get like the first digit. It gets fairly easy to multiply things out. Then you actually gotta do the work. Calculate. The values of the unknown. And if you're doing, when you're doing this, if you use the units in your formula or in your work, you'll know what units the outcome is, the result is. And that's never enough. You have the answer, like. Interpret it.
Word of the check.
Double check if you can. Well, you can always recheck, go over your steps, make sure you're right, but sometimes there's actual checks you can do. Double check your work. Also. But what I meant by interpret is like the number isn't enough, like,
What does it mean?
well, yeah, what does it mean? You went through all this work and having 42.6 as an answer doesn't mean a damn thing,
Maybe
unless
it's
it's like the board needs to be 42.6 inches long.
When I'm starting like this you can't affect people. It's just something.
What do you mean I can't cut people in half? I sure as hell can.
I mean, without penalty,
Oh. I can do it if if I don't get caught.
without scrutiny. I mean, there's a lot of.
It's not a, is it a crime if you don't get caught?
No, it's not illegal until you get.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a cop. All right, everyone got the list? You guys ready to put this into action? They note what page this is. You know what? I'm gonna write math 207 on the top. Chapter 1B. All right, so let's see. Our example that we're gonna start with, I got a few. A swimming pool measures 33 feet by 16 feet.
That's a good size.
There is 9 feet of sod around the whole thing. The whole pool. Two questions. How much fencing would be needed to enclose the area?
Soccer pool.
The whole thing.
Okay.
And B, how much square footage of sod should be purchased? What?
Say, oh, Dad, we want to draw this.
I could have started easy, but fuck that.
It was easy until you said square footage of the sod, and then I was like, now I get it. So.
And then after we do this, we're gonna kick it up a notch. This is the easier mode of the problem.
Is it 9 feet like each section?
Every direction, all the way around, any direction from the pool has 9 feet sticking out.
Yeah.
So we'll wait till everybody's got an idea of what we're like read it, written it down, and then we'll we'll start going through our steps.
Nothing fun done this weekend? Anything crazy?
Define fun. I like playing video
Define
games.
fun. Okay, yeah.
I am currently beta reading a fantasy novel for a friend. The guy
What
that,
would that mean? What would that entail? Beta? What would that mean?
he's got everything up in a Google Doc, and at the end, he gives like questions to
Oh, so
answer.
before, so it's like,
Yeah, it's not published yet.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, this is his second book. I helped him enough with his first book.
What chapter are you into this book?
The second book, we're only like 10 chapters in. I'm reading it to my wife. We're both doing it.
Okay,
This is our second book with him. The first book is not published yet, but it's almost published. But he invited me back for the second beta because he said we were one of the best feedbacks. And in the credits, it says, thanks to David Professor Hefe Jones. I've seen it. I've seen the credits in the book already for the first book.
Hey, speaking of Professor Hefe,
Yes.
do you have to set up an account to watch those videos?
No,
Because when I go into on Canvas, when I go in and it's a Professor Hefe's, there's another word, Discord?
Discord, yes, you need an account.
Okay,
But that's not to watch him.
It's not to watch it, that's-
That's more like to talk on like instant chat and then you could also.
oh,
chat.
Yeah.
You know,
okay.
mystery.
So how do I get to do I just go to YouTube?
I don't even got them, where do I?
Because I was like, he didn't say anything about having to.
You just love causing a ruckus, don't you?
Buzzing on ruckus.
But I'm just assuming that like you have push notifications sent to that on your phone, so you can see it.
Well, I have Discord on my fucking phone.
Yeah, exactly, so you
I
can.
go back and forth between, I was looking at Discord before I came in here. What are we doing? Rear end.
There,
Oh, I need to make the link.
yeah, so that's all.
I didn't have a link yet because I didn't have a video. I will add a link.
Okay,
For now, just go to YouTube and try to pin Professor Hefe.
okay,
If I don't make a link, by like Friday, email me. Like I would say tonight, if I don't do it by tonight, but I know I'm going home, I'm gonna
yeah,
forget.
you're busy.
But email me, and I will make a link over here that has it. In fact, maybe while you guys are doing a project later, I will do it. I can do it like live.
Thank
You
you.
got a paper mache project?
No. Do I look like I wanna do fucking hands-on shit?
No.
All right, so we got a swimming pool. It doesn't say it, but it's implied that it's rectangular. Because one side is longer than another.
Really hard to measure a circle like that.
Well, separate, that could possibly be a circle. It could be oval though. So maybe this is the length and it's 33 feet. And this is the width and it's 16 feet. And that means this side is 30 feet and this side is 16 feet. And then we've got going around it. Sod. So here's my sod. And in any direction, it goes 9 feet. So I drew the picture. And then I labeled what I knew. Now, what I don't know is, I need the outside, like, what am I looking for? I'm looking for the fencing of the, fencing would go around the edge, right? So I need the perimeter, so maybe I need to know these lengths. So maybe I don't need to use these L and W here. Maybe I'll put L and W on the big sides. Maybe we'll call this L and this W. Why make it more tedious? So
I see what you're doing.
So we kind of need to figure out what length is, right? So like length should be the length of the pool
Well,
plus the sod sides with sod. And the width should be the width of the pool. Plus the sod.
That made it all, just even the illustration made it so much easier. Because.
It really does.
Exactly, because now all you have to do is add.
And I know.
Add 16 plus 9 is 25, so that's gonna tell us how far.
Hold on.
There's some 9.
Yeah, let's go, let's start, let's do left L first. So L, I start here, I'm starting here and I'm going across the thing. So I gotta hit the first 9. That's the first side of the sod. And then I got 33 feet for the pool. And then I got another 9 feet for another 9 feet of sod. Which is 51 feet. The width, we're gonna do something similar, it's 9 feet plus the 16 feet. Because width is going up and down. So width is that way, that's my W. That's my L. And then we got another 9 feet. So I got 25 feet plus 9 feet is 34 feet. Okay, so those aren't really even unknowns. We now have those quantities. I'm gonna write them in. Now we need the perimeter. And, oh good, my swimming pool still on there, just barely. When we looked at perimeter for a rectangle, we saw that it was 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. In case you guys don't know, these little symbols right there represent feet. And the quotation mark, the double quote is inches. Maybe I'll write feet when I'm doing the problem though. Or doing the rest of the work. So I know L is 51 feet, right? And I know width is 34 feet. So I think I have everything I need to figure out the perimeter. The perimeter is going to be 2 times 51 feet. Plus 2 times 34 feet.
1.
So this is where our order of operations came in. We got 2 times 51 is 102 feet. And 2 times 34 is 68 feet. And notice that they're both in feet. I can add them together. They both have the same units. Pay attention for it, because it's not, you may have done something on. If you put units in and follow it, you may recognize, oh shit, I did inches on one and feet on the other. You can't add them together. No, without some conversions. So the perimeter is 170 feet. That was part A, right? We got the perimeter. How much fencing that we needed.
70 feet plus 5%.
Yeah, you probably want a little extra just in case.
Yes, you do.
I don't know if I need the extra 5% of 170 feet though. That's almost 10 feet.
Well, You know, because sometimes depending upon what it is, sometimes it's 2%. Depending upon what you're doing, so you're probably right. You don't.
I want extra just so, because I don't wanna, be like wrapping her.
Probably.
Oh, damn, my poles were a little bit, the poles in the ground are a little bit bigger and I need another 6 inches. You can't fucking buy 6 inches of fence and add it to it, unless it's like wooden slates, you can get away with it, but like a chain link, you need it the whole way. All right, so kicked up a notch, this isn't even the kicked up a notch, but part B is a little bit tougher. Yeah, and so what, how much sod do we need? I'm looking for that shaded in green area.
There's a few ways to go around,
There is a few ways to go about it. There definitely is.
but there's 2 easy.
I think, what way would you recommend, Mason?
I'd say 9 times 51 and then 9 times 16 and then multiply those by 2 and then put those together.
Say that again?
So 51 times 9. right?
So Bob is saying 51 times 9.
And put our little distribution box.
So that is doing this area. Oh, let's hear what you're saying.
And then, so put it in the box and then put 2 in front of it. Alright, and then put plus sign right there. And then put 2. And then put 16 times 9. Wouldn't that work?
Let's see if that works. So
Much. That would be.
No, it's not.
the 51 times 9 is the entire thing.
Yeah, and excluding the pool, including the pool.
It's
Oh,
including the-
It's not-
Oh,
Yeah,
So this has pool in it.
what would we make that?
Yeah.
little- What would we make that little bit? That's what I'm trying to think in my head.
couldn't you just do 9 times 4?
You what?
Ooh,
Couldn't you just do? Say 9 feet times 4.
Well, let's think about it pictorially. Andrew, that's the way I would do it. So Andrew said, let's do area of the pool or area of the whole thing. And subtract the area of the pool.
Yeah.
Now, this is the way I would do it. Because what you're doing is you're shading in the whole thing, you're getting the whole thing, and then you're cutting out the part you don't need. Another way of doing it along the lines of doing individual pieces, like what Mason and Melissa are trying to do. You could go with like the 16 times 9 Mason is talking about. The 16 9 by 9 covers this spot right here. And this spot right here. That's 16 by 9.
yeah, I can, but I can't get that.
So 51 by 9 is actually covering this spot there. And this spot there, and what Mason said is correct.
I said it again?
Yeah, you were fine here. Melissa said there was a pool in it. That was wrong. I let it roll for a little while.
Oh, okay, you scared me, because I was like, I got 170 and, or whatever my thing was.
So there's 2 ways. He made 4 rectangles. Recognized 2 sets of them were identical. So this result should get the same result as this one. This one, the area of the whole, because the 51 by 9 is the long rectangles. That's my 51 by 9, and there's 2 of them. And then the 16 by 9 are these rectangles. So that covers his. And that'll be the top one. We'll calculate that. Well, let's see what area of the whole minus area of the pool would be. We know the whole rectangle is 51 by 34. And we want to subtract out the area of the pool, which would be 33 feet by 16 feet. In both cases, we have 2 sets of multiplication. But in the top one, we actually have to double everything once we're done. So we could double it all at the end after adding them. The top way has a little bit more work, but the numbers are smaller and maybe easier to do without a calculator. If you're good at doing math in your head. I've got, let's see, 51 times 9 is, I'm gonna do it in parts. 90 and 54 should be 144. Did I do that right in my head? Yes, I did. 2 times 459 is, I can do that in my head, 918. And this is 288. And if I add them together, this is like adding 300, it would be 1218 and then minus 12, which would be 1206. And I had feet times feet, which should be square feet. Yeah, 8 and 8 is 16, ends in 6. Okay. Okay, and then we do what Andrew recommended, and we could go 51 times 34 is 1734 minus 33 times 16. See, I could have done these things, the top ones in my head. This bottom one, I'm not so good at doing in my head. Minus 528 is again 1206 square feet of sod. And I should have said 170 feet of fencing. Maybe plus some wiggle room. Make sense? Who the fuck has a pool with a fence all the way around it and no gate in it? And who's gonna walk over sod the whole way, though? This is not realistic. So let's add some shit to the problem and make it realistic. That would require depth. Oh, I like where you're going with it, though. So what if there is a 3-foot wide gate? How does that change the perimeter or fencing?
We're just gonna deduct, 3 feet.
It seems like that's the best way to do it, right? You already know what the perimeter would be. So the whole perimeter with gate is probably the whole perimeter. And then minus the 3 feet for the gate. Assuming the gate's like pre-built and you're just adding it in. So that's a good idea. I like that. That's pretty straightforward. 170 feet minus 3 feet is 167 feet. How many pools have grass going all the way up to the fucking edge of the pool? That's a mud hole is what that is.
Yeah.
So. What if the pool has 2 feet of cement surrounding it? Cement all the way around. And a walkway from the gate to the pool. And we'll say that's 3 feet wide as well. It's the width of the gate. Now this might require drawing more on the picture. What? Well, we're back on the sod again. How much sod? But I like the idea, let's do that. How much sod? How much square footage of cement? Now, cement generally has a certain depth, so we can add that to it. But we haven't covered doing conversion of units yet, so I want to wait till we
Right.
do. I just want to keep everything in the same units for now.
If you're going there. That gets tricky when you go, and it is 2 inches with 1 inch treble.
So let's do that. Let's redraw our, we got our pool. Then we got 2 feet of cement. And I'll add in the sod afterwards. Or I'll add in the walkway afterwards. So I know. Like. Maybe the gate is this wide, that's 3 feet, we'll call that 3 feet. This is not the scale. This is 2 feet. 2 feet. What was it, 33 and 33 and 16? And we know the whole distance. This distance is 9. Which means this distance is 9.
But since if you look back at the last problem, we already know how many square feet of sod originally we had. So in this situation, I think figure out the cement and the subtract.
That seems like a good strategy. Only because we figured out the sod already.
Less work.
We already figured out the sod for the big picture. We can figure out the sod, what it is now, if we just calculate the cement. And subtract the cement from it. Does that make sense to everybody? Or we could recalculate everything. So I like going like, even if I hadn't asked how much square footage of cement, it still might be the easier way to go to calculate it first, just to find your answer. So that's one option. Calculate the square footage of the cement and deduct it from the overall area of the sod. The other way would be to calculate the new constraints on sod and go from there. Let's go with what Mason said. So what do we have here for the cement?
You can put a little 3-foot walkway. You have 3 foot by 7 foot.
How'd you get the 7 foot?
So 9 feet, subtract 2.
So Mason said, well, this has got to be the whole 9 feet minus the 2 feet.
Yep.
And we're gonna get 7 feet. So that's a 7 foot length. And we know it's 3 feet tall or 3 feet.
So that little rectangle right there, we could do right now and just say that's 21 square feet.
So maybe let's write out what we're doing. And you're right, we're gonna do that.
Maybe we can label it.
Area of cement. We're gonna do, let's say it's the border of pool. And border plus walkway. And quickly, with our little picture, we've got 3 feet by 7 feet for the walkway. Or 7 feet by 3 feet. For the border of the pool, we're back to the same kind of dilemma we had with finding the sod. So maybe like. Either way, we're gonna have to figure out the length of the cement area, right? And the width of the new width of the cement area. So if I've got. My length, last time when we did the sod, we added the sod plus the width. Or the length plus the sod again. Here we're doing cement plus this pool plus cement again.
So it'd be 20,
Plus 33 plus 2. We're doing here to here to here to get my new length. Length of cement. And that's going to give us 37 feet. And we'll do the same thing with the width. We gotta break it up into this 2 feet. This 2 feet. And this part right here is 16. So the width is 2 plus 16 plus 2 is 20 feet. So we could do, I think Andrew's method was less operations. We do the area of the cement minus the area of the pool, especially since we already figured out the area of the pool and I don't need to recalculate it. So we're gonna do the border, area of the border minus area of pool, plus this walkway. So the area of the border is we've got 37 feet by 20 feet. The area of the pool, I'm gonna write it, but we've already calculated it. But if you started right here, you'd be starting here anyways. And then we've got the plus the 7 feet by 3 feet. This is, what is that, 740? And this was 528. And this is 21 feet. 740 minus 528 is 212. Plus 21. We have 233 square feet. Nope, just feet. Yeah, square feet. Feet times feet. So that is not the right indication right there. Feet squared. Of cement. Now, I could do the volume of the cement here if I just said the cement was 1 foot deep,
Maybe later.
but well, 1 foot deep just makes it trivial. That's a lot of cement though.
So when you times feet.
Feet times feet becomes square feet.
Now, if you're gonna do concrete, you do like in a real world sense, you do like, what, 6 inches and then you have us that find the towers.
Right,
That's what we're ordering.
right.
But then, like you said, conversions, you have.
We haven't covered conversions yet. So the idea of going from feet to, if I've got a 1 foot block by a 1 foot block. Area is side times side, or side squared for a square. And so I have 1 feet times 1 feet for this is a square foot. We're gonna do the 1 times the 1 is 1. Feet times feet is feet squared. Anything times itself is itself squared. That applies to the units as well. So that's why we really want to have the same units. You don't want to have inches times feet because that doesn't make any sense.
So if it was inches, it would be a square.
Yes, a square inch would be 1 inch by 1 inch and it would be 1 square inch. Yeah. Wow, we took a good long while on that one. That was pretty good. Okay. Before we go on, I'm gonna give you guys one to work on. Maybe we can do it as teams. It's not the one I intended, but we can do it as teams. For what day works best for you guys for like a morning thing for Starbucks? Saturday or Sunday? I was thinking either like 8 to 11, 9 to 11, something like that, but either Saturday or Sunday.
For me, Sundays are better.
I'm gonna say I work Saturday, so.
You work Saturdays?
Anything else to-
Sundays work pretty well for me because I know the other class that I work with likes to do Saturdays. But I hadn't set theirs yet because they're not my students anymore. They're my calculus students from last semester. And they begged me, not begged, they asked nicely. Would you mind still working with us and studying with us? I said, sure, I can do lecture notes and stuff like that. So why don't, I haven't been to this Starbucks right here. So I don't know if it's big. I know the one,
The one off Large.
yeah,
Uh,
it's not good. The one in Tulare over at Prosperity and J Street has a nice long center table that's like 3 feet wide and like 8 chairs going down the length of it.
Is that by Target?
No, it's on the far west side of Tulare. The one by Target. Target has one in it.
Subway,
Oh.
that one's next to Subway.
No, I'm just getting the address. I can figure it out.
It's a map. Let's bring up a map. How many people live in Tulare? How many people live in Bisod? Where the fuck do the rest of you live? Like, no one, like, I got 6 hands up out of all that.
I live in Kingsburg. Exeter,
Okay, you guys went for a drive.
Porterville.
Shit. All right, so. Let's go to. Caldwell and Demery. There is a Tahoe Joe's at Caldwell and Demery, and they know me by name pretty much by now. That's my normal job.
That's a good.
Why are you rolling your eye?
Good, you can. Study it.
No, the Starbucks.
Okay.
I thought we were gonna have a nice dinner.
We do Tahoe Joe's if you guys want to buy me.
No, but there's a Starbucks over by Tahoe Joe's.
Yeah. Does that not work for you? Why?
Getting my dollar here.
Like, it's a shorter distance for everybody else that's driving from far away. She's like, I fucking live right next to the one you're talking
Because
about.
it's
the
right
first one.
off that's right off the freeway too, right?
No, not really.
No. I like it because it's away from the freeway, it's away from the.
It's away from the freeway, but it is, if you take the exit for Caldwell, it's
The 99.
straight off the 99, it's straight down.
That's actually pretty close to my house.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's like just past the 198, like just south.
it's where not Foodsco, Winco.
Winco.
So the Winco parking lot is probably a better way to describe it than the Tahoe Joe's. I have dinner on my brain already, that's fine. I gotta go home and teach till 9 o'clock. All right, I will make an email announcement about it. If no one emails me that they're going, I'm not going. So preferably email me if you're gonna go, we'll do, is 8 too early? I can do it. You don't have to show up the whole time. Would anybody show up at 8? Or is 9 o'clock better? She said she'll show up at 8. So I'll go from 8 to 11 on Sundays. 8 a.m. Sundays. Caldwell and Demery. And please let me know, like email me if you're coming, because first off, if no one emails me, I'm not getting my ass up out of bed at 8 a.m. on a Sunday. But then if like one person emails me, I don't need to grab a bunch of tables. If I have like 10 people email me, I'm gonna like try to get there early and like be like, get the fuck off my tables. Sunday, there's a group in there that like to, gentlemen that are retired and they come in and they just hang out and have coffee. They do it every day. They have like coffee together for like 30, 45 minutes.
It's gonna be like.
But if I sit next to them, they don't linger as long. So I'll know it, like if I need more room. But that's if you're going. If you're not going, if I only have a couple people going, I don't need to take a lot of space. All right, so let's give you guys a problem. We want to build 2 garden beds. You're gonna whisper one time. I appreciate that you didn't want me to look bad. No, I mean, but for the rest of the class, you talk louder. You're just trying to make it so I don't look bad, like I appreciate that. We want to build 2 garden beds. That are gonna be, that will be. 22 feet long. By 3 feet wide. 2 feet wide.
Typically, they're gonna go 4.
But then you have to like walk in it if you want.
It's okay, well, hey,
Okay, let's make
we'll
it,
talk about seeds starting next week.
we're doing 3 feet wide.
Great. This
You can make your own 4-foot.
is
garden if
not
you
a
want.
real garden bed. It's a
It is
big garden
too.
bed. It's big.
And we're gonna make it 1.5 feet tall. It's an above ground plant. We want 2 of them. And we wanna know. How much wood we need for the border? For the planter?
Just in the area, like square feet wise.
Maybe start out with boards that are 1.5 wide. That way you're just calculating the perimeter first.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, we'll leave it at that. The boards are 18 inches wide. And then. How much potting mix do we want to buy? Is that what it's called? Potting mix, potting soil?
Potting soil, yeah. Well, or raised bed, but whatever, we're not here to.
If you guys want to work together, I'm not helping you guys for any of this shit for like 10 minutes. Thank you, while I do the link that to my YouTube video.
We can stand up and use the board. You want to.
Yeah, if you guys want to use the board, there's only one marker, so you're gonna, like pull cue that bad boy like the Joker. I can bring more markers if we do this more in the future. What the hell was I doing? YouTube. You gonna draw a picture for him, Mason?
And I'm a pretty artist. It's the best in my 3rd grade class. That's right. I almost.
Is that what your mama told you?
Well, I almost didn't color out of the lines on one side. It's pretty hard.
Cafe. Playlist. Oh. After they're done writing down, I actually embedded a link to the damn video in the module. But I will also copy the playlist over. That's the link I'll put for the link settings. Apps. If you guys want to work as this is a big group, you can. Or you can work together, or you don't have to work with anybody, but I think you'll gain more out if you talk to other people. Okay, real quick for everybody. FA's Math 207 playlist will have the full playlist for you. But if you scroll down in the module second, if this isn't modules anymore, click on modules, scroll down. And when the video, I loaded the lecture notes right away, but I had to wait till YouTube processed the video before I loaded the YouTube video. So this is a link to the YouTube as well. So there's a couple ways to get to the video from class. FA's playlist will take you to my playlist section. And obviously we only have one video in right now. And there is a little more to this when we have like, we're working with units. Cause this is assuming the boards are like. Thin. Super thin, but like in all reality, you would have one that goes the full length and the other one would need to be a bit shorter. But this just gets us a starting idea.
You got a couple of,
That's the way that I did it from the beginning. I said 22 feet times 3 times 1.5.
not time. Oh,
That's what I did. I don't know that it's correct.
For what?
To get how much wood is needed.
no, how much, that's not how much wood. There's two questions right there.
So A would. Be. Swing.
Could have separated with drawing, but one drawing's for one question, one drawing for the other.
So the wood drawing is literally, you could just get away with 2D.
That's
Because
what
we
I
said
did.
the boards are 1.5 inches wide, so you just need to worry about their length. How much length to buy. The soil,
Instead of saying wide, say tall, so that way it's a little less.
tall is the, yeah, you're right. So maybe that's the 1.5. That's the 3. And that's the 22. And here we've got 3 and 22, which is clearly not the scale.
So the areas of moving, what's the thing?
The perimeter is the border.
Perimeter,
edge.
so the first drawing right there is the perimeter, so. Just here, add another 22, add all the measurements on the side. Or,
But
So the perimeter is the outside of an object.
so basically, you know,
Yes.
and the best way to
It's
get.
the outside of the
perimeter
object.
is just to add all the lengths of the
Yes.
outside.
if it helps,
That's what I did.
put a dot in one of the corners and literally just walk around the edge. That's one way of doing it without using a formula.
Or the last time I did math. it
It's okay.
was some clear.
It's okay. This is why like ask questions. I want you to ask questions.
Find new area, just perimeter was.
So perimeter is add up the edges. There is a formula that is based off of these two sides being the same length and these two sides being the same length. So if you memorize the formula, it gets a little bit easier. And that was the 2L plus 2W we were talking
But
about.
just like you said, sometimes you get the perimeter with 4 different sides, and sometimes you get something with 6 different sides and you better count the perimeter up.
Right,
Sometimes it's just by adding up all the, just like you were saying. Start
Oh, yeah.
at the middle point,
So for the soil, I'm gonna need to calculate the area. Of the whole.
so area is a 2D thing, and then volume is gonna be 3 dimensions, because we got it going. We don't just want a layer at the bottom, we want it to fill up the whole plant. So volume is when we're doing 3 dimensions.
right?
But yes, it's very similar. Area is length times width. Volume is length times width times height. You just multiply them all out. And I don't like using X's, I'm gonna use dots. Because a lot of times you might want to use X. So give you guys all a while, talk about it, figure it out. We'll see if Mason thinks he knows what he's doing. We'll find out.
I hope so. I don't. Yeah. You can make it calculate the 40 feet,
What?
the 40 feet.
That's just multiplying by 1.5 though. I mean, it's pretty easy. But you don't buy wood by the square footage like that.
Oh, not unless you're buying like lots.
Right, right. Wood generally kind of like maybe plywood you might be, but
Yeah, but when you're buying like large quantities and building a house.
right.
Even then, you ask most of those guys, and they're like, oh,
right? Well, Melissa told me that she wants to do this for a living. This problem was made for her, and she already told me my shit is wrong, that it should
I
be.
never told, oh,
She said it should be 4 feet wide, not 3 feet wide. Get your shit together, Joe. Look at this, right? I didn't even finish writing down the problem.
It's all like this, just as examples, from that gate. 1 to 4 foot wide. So 2 people can walk up one side by side.
Why do I fucking,
no,
I
no,
want
no,
people
I
walking
worked
it?
at a- I worked.
That's some
for a
bullshit.
fencing- for a fencing guy, and you only do 36 inches.
No.
You go 48,
That's a
Well,
big
you
thing.
can't, you mean you can't get a gate like that?
wait, it's, no, all your gates are custom made, like for chain link and stuff. There's some guy that sits there and makes them all
Right.
custom made. But usually the guy will just tell you to do like a normal doorway. 36 inches, 3 feet.
It's
that's
pretty
right there,
long.
it's only like 25 inches, so 36 feet is really wide. You can
Or
get the most-
36 inches.
Oh, yeah, that's 3 feet, so.
It's probably like the length of this little table right here.
Yeah, when you're coming into a backyard like that where there's a pool, chances are there's 2 people walking side by side to make it comfortable, so people don't have.
I-
Yeah, I'm not gonna complicate it, though.
When?
Usually what they would
What?
do,
I've never seen a pool like
I was gonna
that.
say for small, we would do smaller gates for pools because you don't want the access for like little kids. to
Right.
to swing open an entire gate, be able to just run straight in and have a bunch of them run.
Telling you what.
Who walks hand in hand to the pool? Is that like people about to jump in and execute themselves?
No, coming in from a gate,
So,
or even a
you
walkway up
say-
to a home,
I like her house. She's like, oh, my pool's big. It's,
your walkway up to the front door should accommodate 2 people walking side by side. And 3 feet is not enough for 2 people walking.
So do all your doors accommodate people walking side by side?
No, we're talking a walkway, not the door.
I don't even think sidewalks are 4 feet wide. I think they're 4 feet wide.
Yeah, depends on- I'm talking about proper,
But sidewalk, 2 people can walk side by side too.
on a sidewalk, yeah.
And they're not 4 feet.
Yeah, 2 average normal people can easily walk. side by
Right,
side.
not me. I'm not going side by side.
Which,
Fucking
I was saying, we can't have like a bunch of NBA
Right.
players or like linebackers.
it's challenging for 2 people to walk down the sidewalk side by side.
Oh, get out of here, heck no. When a third guy comes walking, it's like awkward, but like when they.
Are you doing all right? Are you doing okay?
Yeah, I just have a question, but.
Go ahead.
Go ahead and ask.
They're just jibber jabber because they're done.
I know, I'm not done.
So,
Now,
what's your question?
Actually, the wood,
So the wood, the height doesn't really matter as much. The wood, we're just trying to figure out how far around we're going.
so it's just a perimeter.
It's just the perimeter.
And then if you multiply feet by feet by feet, it's gonna.
Cubic feet.
Cubic.
But on that one, you're not multiplying, you're adding. For perimeter,
Yeah, for perimeter.
yeah, for the perimeter, it's all true. So 3 + 22 + 3 + 22. Or you can go 22 × 2, 3 × 2.
What did you get as your answers?
I think the first one was for sure 50, the second one. I think that.
It's
It says
99 square
99,
feet.
yeah, it says 99.
So if you got 50 square feet, 50 square feet and 99 cubic feet, you're wrong.
So,
Yeah,
If you got 50 square feet and 99 cubic feet like Mason did,
no, I got
And Melissa-
50 feet of wood
uh-huh,
for the bed, for one bed. Now this is 2.
oh, 2,
No,
I forgot about that.
that just gave
you
me.
didn't say it here.
I thought you were just.
The final, remember, you gotta interpret the results in relation to the
That
problem.
was a good one. Alright.
I stuck that shit in, didn't I? You gotta watch it because I'm practiced.
Alright, I got.
she's gonna fuck up my perfect numbers for, it's gonna be 100 square feet, and she's like, no, 4 feet wide, I'm like, no. Changing shit,
No, this is for math. This is for
4
math.
feet wide. 4 feet wide, that's like a super wide door, that's like cafeteria door, it's not, no, they're,
No, they're not even.
yeah, everybody, there's just 2 of them.
You get, yeah.
4 feet's not that.
And 4 foot
Like
wide
seven.
doors really
4
wide.
feet is like
That's why.
that. For a walkway,
Most people.
When you're in
aren't-
a bed-
Most people aren't even as.
you live in
much-
a budget home. That's.
That's why.
Is there a fucking, I don't have a yardstick. I wonder if there's a yardstick on campus. Here we go. If I bring a yardstick, it's trouble time, because then I'm like, I can fucking hit a student with this shit. And then I'm gonna get in trouble. I can't go around threatening students with a
You don't want to
yardstick.
get in trouble.
I can threaten students with a, like a ruler, because then I have to catch you, and then everybody's like, you're not gonna catch me. No one's intimidated by that. But a yardstick, all I gotta do is stand anywhere near the door, and you gotta go by me. All right, so hopefully, if you went around, one way of doing this is adding and going around. So, and I would do it just once and then double it. If I go here and I go here, that's 3 plus 22 feet. And that gives me 25 feet. And I know the other 2 sides are also 25 feet. So I'm getting 50 feet for one garden. There are 2 gardens though. Which means I need to double this. If it's 50 feet for one, it'll be 100 feet for 2. So, 100 feet, 2 gardens.
Wait, so
Go ahead.
I put square feet. Right,
They are square feet,
oh, they are.
yeah. No, they're not.
No,
No, they're not, because the 1.5 it measures the feet, that's just the length. So if we wanted to find the square feet of wood, we have to include this 1.5. Because perimeter, we didn't multiply them, we just added them. So when you're adding feet together, we didn't have feet times feet,
Oh,
we had feet plus feet, so we don't get double feet.
But even if you multiply 2 times 3 or 2 times 22, you still get just.
Yeah, because the 2 didn't have feet in it, T was just yeah. So one way of doing this is saying 2 times 50 feet to get the garden. The 2 doesn't have a feet in it, the other way is going, I have 2 gardens, I'll just add the 2 gardens. And then so you can see again that there's no extra feet multiplying anywhere.
I see where.
That's a good question.
I sort of messed up, I know it was, I got 50, but then on the second one, when there's 2 gardens, I put 2 times 25, and then I got put 50 instead of adding, that's right.
All right, volume. Potting soil in for 3 dimensions, when you need to do like a length and a width, and then you need to fill something up. If it's filling something up, you're generally doing volume. So volume of a garden is going to be length times width times height, and dots represent multiplication. We are going to use X for other things, and so I don't want to use X. And I figured it's just great, get you used to it now. If you're not used to it, you will get used to it. They're not like decimal points, they're like midway up, so they're a little bit easier to tell. But we had the length was, we just pick them, we'll call maybe the L is 22 because it's longer. I tend to call the longest one the L, whether or not it is or not. The width is gonna be that one. And then we'll do the height as the short one. Because who has a 3-foot planter bed? That's a tall planter bed. That's waist high. Like, you don't have to bend, that's actually a great way to. You don't have to bend over and hurt your back to guard
Yeah,
it to throw
3
it up.
3 feet, 3 feet is. 3 feet is not as big as you guys think.
What the fuck? Look at this shit.
This is only in an emergency. That is
No.
3 feet.
No, this,
That is 3 feet.
this is more than an emergency.
This is 3 feet.
Right here.
36 inches.
Hold on, let's see. How long is this thing?
How long is this thing?
Cause then we, no, the table, the table.
This
32,
close to, no, 35.
35, so it's almost a yard.
Yeah,
And if you went all the way to the edge,
so let me get,
Go all
Mr.
the way to the end.
Segrete, let's stand side by side, how comfortable we can walk. That's
If we go all the way to the edge.
35, that's 35 and a half, a little under 30
yeah,
and a half.
so we will settle this debate. Bob!
Here's
You're
my
walking down the hallway yelling Bob.
He's fine.
Who the fuck carries around
I mean,
catering
You know why?
measuring tape?
have a measure pen, well,
Check this shit out.
Okay, so this is 35, this is 35 inches right here.
Yeah, that's about.
Okay, there's our walkway from the pool. Let's walk together side by side.
Me and you could both fit through.
Now, we don't even know each other, but we're walking this close together.
What's wrong with that? Okay, no, every hotel you've ever been to, they've never had it wider than that, have they?
Oh, a hotel?
No, because in hotels, you'd be walking with people you know and potentially strangers, so why would you
You're not
have
gonna walk
it?
that close.
Exactly, so why would you
Good,
have
we
it
don't
that
have a
way?
yardstick.
no, people wouldn't even walk close, it would be like one forward and one behind.
Or what I would do is I'd see someone, you'd open up the door or something, right, and you'd just like, just wait, and then you'd walk. I don't know.
You
just
open the
thinking-
door for the other person or something.
Unless you're a child and you're the line leader. That's 48.
So this is the overwhelming thing that's what I wanna know. How the fuck do you have that?
So, because,
For reasons like this.
I carried this for a long
Apparently
time.
I need one.
When, if I wanted to do clothing and I want true waist, if I want length, whatever.
How often are you
Never-
measuring your fucking clothing or inseam?
it never,
So you carry that around, was it in your purse or was it in your purse, not your pocket?
this is my purse.
It better be a purse thing, because it gets pretty small, it doesn't take up much room in a purse. Has anybody else ever seen any other person? Your mother, your grandmother,
My
your
grandma had a full-on sewing kit and it has one of those
in her purse.
in her purse all the time. In the middle of church, she
Oh, wait.
took one of my shirts.
See, she remembers like the moon landing well. Like she remembers, she remembers. Depression, eh?
No, I saw that in 1969. I saw that in elementary school when the teacher brought in the TV set on the.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
For the moon landing, it was
My
like.
dad talks about my dad always talks about getting the stock, my grandma.
Oh,
always talked about
man.
the stock too, they'd walk by with a gun and shoot you.
Well, they didn't walk, but you walked up and you got a big
Yeah.
scab on your arm.
You still have any of the stuff?
Yeah, so does he. So does everybody at that time.
So if you throw this into a
It's a check
calculator, you're gonna get 99. I don't do it in a calculator. We haven't covered fractions yet. But I'm gonna show you, we're gonna do fractions next week. The way I look at this is 1.5 feet. So if I do 22 that way, I got 22 feet and then half of 22 feet. And I can do that pretty easy. That's 11 feet. So I got 22 feet plus 11 feet is 33 feet down one side. 3 feet down the other, or 3 feet. That's feet squared. That looks like inches. And I get 99. So you can do that without a calculator. When you practice it. You're not ready for that. That's
I've never seen it done that way. That's interesting.
It's new,
that's how I do shit.
it's new,
How I do it in my head.
that's how he rolls.
Cause I could do the 22 times 3 first and still do the same thing, but the numbers are easier when they're small. The point is, when you multiply these together, you're gonna get 99 cubic feet. So we can write it as feet cubed or cubic feet. And this was feet squared. Area is feet squared or square feet. They abbreviate squared. I guess they abbreviate cubic
Q2.
sometimes. But this is again for one garden. So if I want 2 gardens, I'm gonna add that, up, either do 2 times 99 cubic feet. Or this is the same thing as doing 99 cubic feet plus 99 cubic feet. Because multiplication is just addition done more than once. Well, when it's double, it's only once. Multiplication is repeated addition, believe it or not. Division is repeated subtraction. So if I add these up, I've got 198 cubic feet. So that's how much soil we need. And we needed 100 feet of the 1 by 1.5 inch woods,
Footwood.
wood. I apparently need to carry a measuring tape for this class.
I thought I might have a measuring tape.
How small does it break down on there? Does it go down to like 1/4 inches, 1/8 inches, 1/16 of an
You know
inch?
what, I don't know.
I think
if
you
it
go down to
does.
Does anyone need that
How
on
does
there?
it-
No,
okay,
it does,
so-
it doesn't, it
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
It's just-
How does that? All right, so how do you get rid of the 1.5 by just basically having the 22 and making it 11? How does that?
Well, 1.5 is 1 plus 1/2.
Okay,
Like $1.50
correct,
is $1 plus a half of $1.
correct.
So I can do, when we do it, I'm distributing the 22 to each of these.
Oh.
So this,
you're using-
what I did was,
Okay,
rather than doing 22 times 1.5,
yeah,
I did 22
Two
times
times
1
one
plus
and then-
1/2.
okay, you just.
And you
okay,
distribute.
You just.
Okay. Let's start. Chapter 2, we'll get one section done. So 2.1 is on multiples and factors. So you gotta go measure and see. Oh, she pulled that out. She didn't pull it out when I said, I wish I had a roller. She let me wait for a little while.
Yeah,
We're gonna do multiples and factors. That's 2.1. 2.2, we're gonna start looking at, I think, fractions when we start. Yeah, I'll put fractions too. No. Let's do fractions with 2.2. So multiples, what multiples are what you get when you multiply a value by another number. Which sounds like, that just sounds like regular multiple. Let's say I want the multiples of 3. I think maybe showing what I'm saying is a little bit better than just talking about it. So if I multiply by 1, I get 3. If I multiply by 2, I get 6. If I multiply by 3, I get 9. These are your times table. I'm just pulling a row off your times table. These right here are called the multiples. If I do multiples of 2, and I'm going to for a very specific reason. I'm going to multiply by 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And each time I did it, the column got longer and longer because that's how I roll. the multiples of 2, we're just taking this number here and multiplying by the number on the top. 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6. And at some point, you stop doing that. If you're wanting to fill it in faster, don't multiply. Notice that the pattern is just doing +2 as you go. And I think it's a little easier to add 2 to the previous number than go through the multiplication process. In fact, I'm going to write a few more with 3 as well. Because I think it helps reveal the secret to 3 a little bit easier. If you have some written down. What?
So I'm not learning very good. It's very easy now.
Is it? What's it magic for?
Just set all the multiples right after. So.
All right, so multiples of 2, first off, these are called even numbers. All multiples of 2 are even numbers. Except 0. 0 isn't called odd or even. It's just 0. It's its own, it's not positive or negative, it's just 0. 0 is a magic number. 0 almost made Pythagoras go crazy. All these old mathematicians that came up with some of the cool formulas we use, they couldn't handle the concept of nothing. So every number that is not a multiple of 2 is odd. That's how we define it. Okay, so that's multiplying, and we will use that a lot for a lot of different things. We also use it for dividing. So what are the divisibility rules?
If it's divisible by 2, it's divisible by 4, 6, and 8.
That's not true at all. 6 is divisible by 2, but it's not divisible by 4 or 8. It's the other way around. So if it's a number is divisible by 2, which means I can divide and have no remainder. That's what divisible means. Divisible. You can divide by it and have no remainder. Well, the easiest way to get the rule for 2 is look at it. I've got 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and then I've got 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. The numbers at the end go in a cycle. It goes 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. And I'll go to 20 to 20 to 30, you'll see 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. So it ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. You'll get pretty used to that if you're not comfortable with identifying an even number right away. You'll get pretty used to it pretty quick because it's just you look at the last number. All the other numbers don't fucking matter. It's just the last number. Is it a multiple of 2 or is it not a multiple of 2? The 3 one, this one, when I first heard it, and it's still kind of magical to me. 3 is the sum of the digits are divisible by 3. So I'll write it down, I'll let you write it down, and we'll actually like look at the list and talk about it. I know these are the multiples of 3, so I'm just gonna use these as a reference. What happens if I add 1 plus 5 together? What do I get?
Six.
Is 6 divisible by 3?
Okay.
Yes, it's on the list. If I add 1 plus 8 together, what do I get? 9. 9 is divisible by 3, it's multiple. If I add 2 plus 4 together, what do I get?
Oh, 2 plus 4 is 6.
6, it's on the list. If I wanted to find 111, is it a multiple of 3?
Yeah.
Yes, we can add up the ones together, the ones add up to a 3. So 111 is divisible by 3. And I wouldn't know it looking at it. So there's like for smaller numbers, you like lower numbers, you may get used to seeing them. But bigger numbers, you just add up the numbers individually and go, is that smaller number divisible by 3? 4. The last 2 digits are divisible by 4. Because you're gonna have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. And you go all the way, once you get all the way up to 100, 100 is divisible by 4 because it's 25 cents each. You'll do this all the way up to 100 and then you start repeating 104, 108. So as long as you know the first 24 are divisible by 4, and they all are, then everything that you just look at the last 2 digits. So if I go up to 188, it's divisible by 4 because 88 is divisible by 4. 5. The number ends in a 0 or 5. Six. 6 is a multiple of 2 and 3, so we just combine those. If 2 and 3 are divisible. Or if it's divisible by 2 and 3, I think is what I should have said. Seven. Nothing. There's no magic rule to remember. You just have to divide and see if you left with a remainder. Just divide and see if there's no remainder. Eight is absolutely useless. The rule for 8 I would never use. It's the last 3 digits are divisible by 8. At that point, you probably,
1,000.
yeah, you're getting up to the thousands till you start repeating. It's not usable. I wouldn't use it. I like numbers and I'm good with numbers and I wouldn't use that. I would just keep dividing by 2 and then see if I get a bunch of 2s. 9 is the sum of digits are divisible by 9. So it's the same rule as 3. And we can see that with the 18 and the 27 up above. 18, add the digits is 9, 27, add the digits is 9. 18 and 27 are both multiples of 9. And if you want to do 10. It ends in 0. You guys, you have that all written down? Good. So why do we care? We need to do stuff like that a lot when we're finding factors. Or we'll call them factor pairs. I think the easiest way to show you what factor pairs are is use a number and show you a list of them. So factor pairs of 24. 24 times 1. 12 times 2. 6 times 4, or let's do 8 times 3 first. 6 times 4. And there's no multiple of 5. The next one would be 4 times 6. And I started repeating, and so I would stop. These are the four factor pairs. And so it's two numbers that multiply together to make the other number. And they're whole numbers, two whole numbers that multiply to make the other number. So if I were to do this with a bigger number, like let's say 60. What I try to do is I notice I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I try to see if I go down this list of numbers, keep adding one and see if it goes in. 60 is divisible by 1, so it's 1 in 60. If I divide 60 by 2, I get 30. So 2 times 30 is a factor pair. $60 divided by 3 is 20. So 3 times 20 is a factor pair. 60 divided by 4 is 15. So 4 times 15 is a factor pair. 60 divided by 5 is 12. So 5 times 12 is a factor pair. I said 65 there, I meant 60. 60 divided by 6 is 10, so 6 times 10. If I do 60 divided by 7, I get nothing. That doesn't work. 60 divided by 8 also doesn't work. 60 divided by 9, the numbers add up to 6, that's not divisible by 9. 60 divided by 9 doesn't work. 60 divided by 10 is 6. So I've got 10 times 6. And at this point, I've noticed that I am repeating. So I stop my list and go there. So these are the factor pairs. Once your list starts repeating, stop. Does that make sense what I did? I started at 1 and I kept saying if that number divides in the next number and then the next number. So we will use this when we're doing like some equations that have squares in them. We end up doing this kind of stuff. Another spot where this is useful is in finding the prime factorization. So maybe I need to talk about prime numbers. Prime numbers are only divisible by themselves and 1. The numbers that are not prime. Oh, and an important thing to note, 1 is not prime. Even though it's divisible by itself in 1, it's not considered prime. Same with 0. So the prime numbers start at 2. There is something called the seed. I'm gonna fuck up the name, Eratosthenes. You can Google it for a really good animation. But I'll show you in principle how it works. I'll only go up to 30 to show you. I think if you look at the Wikipedia page, it goes up to 100. So it starts off with 1 is not prime, 2 is prime. Cross off every multiple of the prime number. So maybe that's A, that's B. And C, move to the next uncrossed out number. That's what we're doing. I'll show you it being done. And then we'll be done for the day. Okay, so I'm gonna follow those rules right here. 1 is not prime, so I'm gonna cross it off. It might help to circle the prime number so it stands out, so I'm gonna do 2. And now I'm gonna cross off every multiple of 2. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. Okay, and then I get to move to the next uncrossed off number. The next uncrossed off number is 3. I'm going to circle it. And we're going to cross off multiples of 3. 3, 6, 6 is already crossed off. I don't need to worry about it. 9, 12 is already crossed off. I don't need to worry about it. 15 gets crossed out though. 18 is already crossed off, but 21 isn't. And we'll keep going along the lines and cross those out. 27 gets crossed out also. Then we move on to the next prime is 5. Cross off all multiples of 5. 10, 20, and 30 are already crossed off. 15 is crossed off. 20, 25 needs to be crossed off though. And at this point, we already have all the prime numbers available. You can go through them and you'll see that there's no multiples of 7, there's no multiples of 11, there's no multiples of 13, 17, 19, 23, or 29. How's that for neat? Usually when you do it by on like 100 by 100 or like 100 numbers, you only really need to go up to 10, maybe 9. I'm going to sleep on me, Melissa. So prime numbers are the starting ones are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17. 19, 23, 29. If you play with the multiplication table, like the 10 by, up to 10 by 10 enough, you start recognizing which ones don't show up on that list. 29 is not on the times table list. And we'll do prime factorization and some we'll do fractions on Monday. Again, if you want to meet me on Sunday, email me or text me. My phone number is in there somewhere. Or if you're on Discord, Discord me. DM me, I believe it's called on Discord.
If I can't make it this Sunday, will we try to do that other Sundays?
Yeah, it's not just one shot.
So Sunday, is it all your classes?
I might have the algebra class come too, because they'll be working on similar stuff. It just depends on how many, like the first week, if it starts becoming where I've got 10 people showing up from each thing, I can't make it 20 people at Starbucks, so I'll break it up at that time. But for now, it will be, I've got one algebra class and you guys, and the algebra class isn't much bigger. Well, yeah, it is, but not too big. All right, have a good evening, have a good weekend. Does that mean you're not coming this weekend?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna check, I should. Just wanna make sure I'm not missing my